bottom line is, it's the heart. It's the heart. But Galatians says that God come, he came, I mean, not God come, but that in chapter 5, it says that Jesus set us free to be free to be free. What a funny thing to say. To be free, to be freer. To be free, so you're going to be set free to be free. And not to go back to the bondages again. And that's where we're, with Judaism and Christianity, we got the whole circumcision thing. Wait a minute, we're free from that. We're free from the pork. We're free for whatever. You can eat whatever you want. There's nothing unclean when God has blessed and taken care of these things. But by the same token, the pendulum comes over here, and you want to eat right and do right and things that are good for you because there's wisdom involved. But when it comes to worship, I don't think God cares what you look like. I don't think he cares if you dance or don't dance. But he does want you to be free. When I sit there and I think and I look around, I mean, when you get excited about something, honestly, I'm sorry. How many here watch football? Raise your hand real quick. Okay, now I'm just going to look here. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see here. All right, I'm going to pick on Nick. Sorry, Nick, you knew that was coming. Even in Bible study, Sean picked on Nick. But no, we know Nick, right? A very shy guy, but not a guy to be messed with. A combat vet who mixed up with all of it. Who shared that he'd been shot at a number of times, and it was a whole lot scarier to come up here and to preach than to do what he did over there. But now, you'd look at him and you'd think he's probably a pretty reserved guy, right? And he is. But when his football team is ahead, that reserving part, it's still there, but you can tell. There's, yeah. Sit down. I hope nobody saw that. You know. The point is, for all of us, you see, there is something inside that excites you. See, and the thing of it is that serving the Lord should really excite you. Most of all, number one. You see, so what I'm saying is that it's okay to be excited about the football game, providing you're excited about the things of God. And it's seen because other people see it on your countenance and on your face. Prelude to the message, because I'm not going to have much time, and it's probably the Lord, because this was going to be an exhortation. But instead, there's two things I want you to take, and then I'm going to get into the message. One is, I appreciate the flag. It reminds me of my roots. I got saved because I started loving the Jewish people. So, I know, doesn't that sound funny? But that's what led me on to, in studying under Rabbi Mordecai Kramer, who was just one of the most brilliant Old Testament scholars and New Testament scholars, and wasn't saved, but a New Testament scholar. Unbelievable, an amazing person. And so I appreciate it. But I didn't stay there. I moved into, and this is where Jason was talking about in the prayer, I moved into the things of the Holy Spirit. And I remember sitting one time in church over at the Christian Center with Pastor Jeff, and all of us, I was doing Sunday school. And I don't know what it was, but all of a sudden I'm standing there. You know that when he talks about the tongues of fire in Acts? I'm just standing there. I'm not the brightest guy in the world. I don't know the scriptures as well as a lot of people. But I'm standing there and I'm looking around, and I see tongues of fire on top of people's heads. There must have been maybe 30 people. It was a Sunday school class, 30 people in the room. And I saw those tongues on maybe 9 of them. 9 of them. And I thought about that later on. I thought, wow. And I remembered those 9 people, tongues of fire on top of their head. Some of you don't even know what I'm talking about. Read the book of Acts. You see, you got to read the Bible to know sometimes what we're talking about as a believer. Did I say that? I said you got to read the Bible if you want to know. That's how you communicate. You know what? When I was in law school, what's important to know about lawyers and stuff like that? They're not smarter than you. They just talk a different language. Learning the law was just learn a little bit of Latin and the rules and regulations. There you go. That was it. Well, in Christendom, it's the same thing. Some of you know what tongues of fire are, and some of you have no idea. And getting baptized in the Holy Spirit, filled with the Holy Spirit, baptized in fire. But some of you don't. I thought, we need to all know. We need to all know. I'm going to ask God, I'm saying, God, we need to hit on this. I would prefer that the Holy Spirit just do the moving. I've been waiting for that for a long time. And maybe it's a co-op. Maybe it's a cooperative effort. Wants to do it with us. But I like the fire. And I see people going crazy for God. Some of you may see that person's in the flesh. Maybe they are. I have no idea. You know why? Because I'm not thinking about them. I'm thinking about Jesus. I'm thinking about their heart. I'm wondering what kind of moccasins they've been walking in. How exciting. Our Jewish heritage, which is the lineage of Abraham, which opens the door to all the promises to us, and the tongues of fire. That's what I'd like to see painted outside of our building. The church, it's not just on fire. It's been baptized in the fire. That's where we're going. I mean, seriously, if you don't want to be a part of it, don't come here anymore. No, I really mean that, because you might fit in better somewhere else. I mean, it's true. And most people want to feel in, because most people really don't. Most people come to church to fulfill an obligation. I don't want to do that. Never did. I want to encourage people. But I've seen what the Lord does in people's lives. I've looked at you guys, and I can say, look what the Lord has done in all of you. I know many of you from whence you've come, and some of you, a couple of you, not too many of you, know from whence I came, because I got saved first couple of years when I moved to Big Bear. So there's only a few that really knew the real me. That was the real me before I got saved, and the real me came out. And I know that God changes people. I know the Holy Spirit and fire is real. I know speaking in tongues and the Holy Spirit and all that is good for us. And I've seen people change, and I've seen people healed, and I've seen miracles. And why we don't see more, sometimes I just don't know, but I got this funny feeling that it's more on our end than it is on God's end. I think I'm ready to go that next step. Maybe it is going that little deeper on the side of the boat. And some of you are going to go, oh no. I can't tell you how many times in my life, friends and family both. When I mean friends and family, I don't mean my immediate family. My sisters, my parents, my friends back in the day that I grew up with. It was always, oh, John's going off the deep end again. There he goes. And I thought, the only time I really wasn't happy, and I've always been happy, was when I got so tired of hearing people like that I kind of swam over into the shallow end for a while. I got saved in the early end of the 70s, 78, 79. In 1980, I had a come to Jesus moment that you can't believe. And I have never looked back, ever. Which means I've, for the most part, behaved myself since then, if that's any kind of a gauge to some people. But God is real. There's no ifs and buts about it. And he wants his presence felt and known, not just here amongst you, but that's where he's going to start. But then we're going to blast out of here. And we are going to be the Bible Belt. Tongues of Fire, the Bible Belt Church. It's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it? All right. I'm going to preach for a couple of minutes. Well, you know what the message is? The message is we got to grow up. We got to grow up. I'm sorry to say this. I really am. And I've told you before, that my kids started lecturing me when they became more mature than me at the age of 10. I get it. I'm okay with that. But then I realized I've got to grow up. Girls, women, they seem to grow up a lot faster than the guys, and we end up having to play catch up. But we got to mature. And part of it will always be, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. Right? That I have to decrease, that God can increase in me. Me, the self, that stuff. The old man, whatever you want to call it. And then mature, which biblically, in the Greek, is a type of perfection. Which is all part of the sanctification process. You get saved, but it doesn't happen. The salvation comes, boom, now you're saved. For eternity. But there's a process of maturing to be Christ-like. It takes some years. And I told her, I've demonstrated that before when I've asked Lillian, the matriarchal saint of the church. Most of us that know her call her Saint Lillian. I have a little medal. You guys have St. Christopher's, I have St. Lillian. But I asked her one time, serving God for 80 plus years, serving God. No. Not just saved. Building churches. Missionary work. Still to this day, with Grief Share, ministering. And I asked her one time, I said, have you arrived? And what did you say, Lillian? Well, I can tell you what she said. She said, no, not quite, but I'm continuing to press on and get there. I said, do you always behave yourself? She said, no. Because when she went to Las Vegas, she said she behaved herself, but her fingers were crossed. No, she's still a saint. The point is, she's more of a saint than all of us in that saintly sense. And she's the oldest and the wisest here. And if she's still on that path, that means we're going to be on that path too. And it is a good and a right path to be on. Amen. Give the Lord a praise, everybody. I'm done.